All right, Nick, let's talk about the Los Angeles Chargers. But before we talk about the Chargers, we have to talk about another team that will lead into the Chargers. Very interesting. A lot of news coming up around draft time, a lot of interesting things. So let's get into the article and hear about how the Arizona Cardinals are potentially affecting the Los Angeles Chargers. This, of course, is from over on All Cardinals. It says the Arizona Cardinals asking price to move down from the number 4 pick in the 2024 NFL draft is reportedly steep, to say the least, as it should be. The Cardinals' 4-13 record in 2023 set them up with another top 5 selection, similar to last offseason when general manager Monty Ossenfort first took over the wheel in the desert. Everything comes with a price. However, Arizona is reportedly looking for 3 first round picks in exchange to move down out of the top 10 with the Vikings, according to Outkick. Again, this is from over on All Cardinals. I think that's very interesting, and I know you have some thoughts on how this will specifically affect the Chargers. But before we get to you, Chargers fans, in the comment section below, what do you think would be a fair price to trade out? You're pretty close to the number 4 pick. You're at the number 5 pick. What do you think about asking for 3 first round picks to trade down from number 4? Is it too much? Is it just enough? Is it, not enough? I don't think that is one of the answers, but let us know what you think in the comment section below. But Nick, what are your thoughts on this latest update that affects the Chargers?
Yeah, so first and foremost, this is an indication the Arizona Cardinals don't want to trade out of the number 4 spot. They've got their guy, most likely wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State University. Because if you look at the difference between, say, number 4 and number 11, if you go to the old school Jimmy Johnson era draft value chart, the difference between those two teams is worth about 1 first round draft pick. So again, asking for 3 is absolutely egregious, which means, of course, you really don't want to make a deal unless someone literally gives you the world. So the Cardinals, by and large, they are not going to move out of the number 4 spot, which opens up the Los Angeles Chargers in a very interesting situation because the Minnesota Vikings, as pretty much everyone is well aware of at this point, they're going after a quarterback this upcoming draft. The top 3 guys will most likely be gone in terms of Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jane Daniels by the time the Minnesota Vikings will have a chance to trade up with the Chargers at number 5. And I think that gives the Chargers an insane amount of leverage, which I think they are already likely planning to use to get a lot of assets out of. There was a report earlier this week about the Chargers trying to build an epic offense around Justin Herbert and their entire strategy going forward. But a real impediment to that, I think, is obviously weapons on the wide receiver, and there are some offensive line issues as well. And Miles, there's a couple different interesting things that could happen here. Could you imagine a world where the Chargers trade the number 5 overall pick for Justin Jefferson with the Minnesota Vikings? Seems unlikely, but it's not impossible. You throw in Justin Jefferson on this Los Angeles Chargers offense, and suddenly they're looking incredibly good. But let's say that doesn't happen. You can imagine a world where the Chargers trade number 5 to the Minnesota Vikings and pick up pick number 11 and pick number 23 in a draft where it just so happens that wide receiver and offensive line are incredibly deep. And then the Chargers can double dip and address both their issues in one foul swoop in the first round. I think the likelihood of a trade between Los Angeles to Minnesota is about 90% plus and growing by the day. The Minnesota Vikings don't want to see the 4th quarterback go off the board much deeper because once it gets closer and closer to teams like the Atlanta Falcons and the New York Giants, it's going to get real frisky for Minnesota. They're going to start getting nervous. I think sooner rather than later, we're going to hear about the Chargers making a massive trade with the Minnesota Vikings trading down from the number 5 and picking up either great players, a lot of draft capital, or potentially both.
Yeah, Nick, I think it's a great strategy for the Chargers to potentially start looking at if the Cardinals are signaling they don't want to move off their spot. Because at number 5, there's only really a couple things you want to get. You want a quarterback. Well, the Chargers don't need a quarterback. They definitely have their quarterback of the future in Justin Jefferson. Maybe you get the top wide receiver in the draft, but it seems the only wide receiver reportedly that you'd want to draft that high is going to go to the Cardinals the pick before you, Marvin Harrison Jr. at pick number 4. So then what are you looking for? Offensive line, a tackle? I mean, there's no one that screams that they're valuable enough to pick at number 5 overall. So I think it just seems like a very, very good move for the Chargers to trade back into the draft. As you said, there's so many options. If you get Justin Jefferson, that would be insane. I don't know if that's, plausible, but I think that would be obviously a position of need major for the Chargers and obviously a position of need for the Vikings is quarterback. So it made sense in a way there if you put two and two together. But the other option, I think getting two first round picks is really good for filling out the depth because the Chargers have spoken on they want to be more offensive line focused, so you could get really great guys there. Plus, obviously, we know they need wide receivers. I think there's a lot of options on the table, like you alluded to, and I think everything that involves trading out of the number 5 spot seems like the best option for the Chargers at this point in time.
And I keep going back to what Harbaugh said, I think a couple of weeks ago now, said that he feels the Chargers, are actually in a position where like they're the number one overall pick, right? And they're kind of in a situation to take advantage of that. The way a team like the Chicago Bears was last season, trading back, allowing another team to give up a lot of assets to allow the team trading back last year was the Bears. This year, I think it's going to be the Chargers to get a lot better a lot quickly, a lot more quickly than people thought they would have. I think we're seeing a massive move playing out in slow motion right now. I think it'll still take a few more weeks as teams go through their final visits, they finish up their top 30, and it may take all the way to draft night. But I think at this point, I would say the likelihood is 90+% and growing that the Minnesota Vikings give up a lot to trade up to number 5 for the Los Angeles Chargers, and the Chargers with Ortiz and Harbaugh start off their regime with a massive draft trade.
Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, even your relatives. It's all out there. That's why we use Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows us which data brokers are selling our information and automatically submits opt-out requests for us.
Cleaning up our information not only reduces the amount of that stupid spam we all get, but it also protects us from hackers who could use this information to help them access our social media accounts, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. Aura also does much more to protect us and our families from online threats. We also get features like antivirus protection, VPNs, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. That's really key. One location, get all this great stuff. It's really easy to set up. And the best of all, we get everything at one affordable price.
And you may already have one or two of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on doing the hard work to keep you safe so you can focus on other tasks and have peace of mind. We value our privacy and we value yours. You can go to aura.com/Saturday to start your 2-week free trial. Also, link below in the description. Again, aura.com/Saturday for your free 2-week trial.